Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from a couple places. Sound Image Production will be one of them, and a couple of closed roadie groups we have on Facebook, one called Death by Loadout and another one called The Backstage Pass. With me this evening is a truly dear friend of mine and a hell of a co-host, the one and only Kyle Thomas. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Vinny. How about yourself, Bubby?
Man, you were here. We're both tired. We've both been going at it.
Yeah, we got our butts a little stomped. We're a little tired. We got bags under our eyes, but we're trucking along.
Is it the rock and roll lifestyle?
I think so.
Yeah. We're trying not to let it catch up, but it is what it is. What is this month? We are in September?
I think
August?
you got
What
it.
the fuck
Yeah,
are we?
September.
I think we're in September. I don't need to know. I just know when it's hot, I'm rock and rolling. So I'm pretty sure it's September, and that's what you do in September. That's what we do in September is work our asses off into the crazy. How about that rain we just had? We haven't had rain for 6 months.
Yeah,
Nothing.
perfect timing for our Salesforce gigs. We have 3 of them out right now in the city, and I think it just timed itself out just for our load, and it was great.
It's funny how that works. Last year when we pulled Oxbow out of Napa, which is a big festival we do, I don't know, 20 shows a year on that thing. And these are all national acts, you know. And I think we closed it down with Bonnie Raitt, I believe. Was it Bonnie Raitt this year? It was Bonnie Raitt we shut that thing down
that's
with.
right.
Yeah. And of course it had to pour 3 inches onto the field as we took 200,000 pounds of gear off the property.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
It's just the way the fucking ball bounces, the cookie crumbles. It is a part of the game.
But we needed it, so I can't bitch that.
No,
hard.
you really can't. It's, we are here in California. We have a major water deficit pretty much throughout the state, pretty much more than this state, but we'll just worry about us. And so to have a substantial rain come, I didn't care if it, washed a few houses away. I thought it was absolutely necessary.
Definitely.
Yeah, bro.
Hey, and I missed something. I just got to say thank you to Kurt Hare for coming on last week. It was awesome hearing from that guy. Been looking forward to picking his brain and hearing some of his stories. It was nice.
Yeah, he's a special cat. I was kind of mentioning to him that his reputation from, I got my ear to the ground. I know a lot of folks and people cruise through there and work with him and work off his rigs. And they just never have a poor word to say about him. He's a special cat. He's a very contemplative, total fucking gear nerd. He's like the real deal.
Yeah.
And he brings it real. And he's got the whole region of where he's out of up there in, Seattle area. It's his. It's almost outright. Our guest tonight has worked with him quite a bit as well.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Kurt, for being on the show. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, and like I said, busy week. We also got a Baker Beach party going out this week. We're doing Sunny that just recently passed Memorial at the Stockton Speedway.
Well, let's slow down a little bit. So you're talking about Sonny Barger, kind of the head of the Hell's Angels. I don't want to get that incorrect. He somehow or another, I don't know exactly how the hierarchy works there, but I do know Sonny Barger is an internationally known head. Some of our friends who happen to be in the industry, some of the top videographers and some other badasses in the game are also just happen to be patched members of the Hell's Angels. And so we have a little bit of a loose relationship there, and their dear leader passed, and so we're going to support that with throwing out some gear, and they're going to have from what I understand, about 4,000 folks come to that for the memorial they're estimating. So it should be a very, very real thing.
Yeah, and it's a nice location. Stockton Speedway is beautiful.
Yeah. I actually haven't been for years. I couldn't tell you what it looks like anymore, but it'll work because we'll make it work. And
we got Winston Dama out at Table Mountain Casino doing a Fluffy gig.
So Fluffy is, if you're not knowing, Fluffy's a Hispanic comedian. He's called Fluffy because he's a rather large man, and that's just a kind of euphemism for his size. But he's widely known as one of the funnier live comedians in the game right now. And they're going to be in good tall cotton with Winston Dama. He's an excellent mix engineer, and I'm sure he'll serve that very well, and it'll be a great show.
Yeah, that guy's really solid.
Yeah.
I can't say enough nice things about him.
Right.
And I think I mentioned it last week, but we're going out, I think, our first gig with Skinnerd and Tesla opening at Concord Pavilion on Thursday.
Yes, that'll be a good show. We're actually taping the show. We got really lucky. Our guest tonight, who we had planned to be Thursday, we realized we had the show with Tesla. Now, I routinely have other shows going on while we tape this show, and you guys go out and take care of it for us. But this is one where a dear friend of mine who's works with Tesla, Chopakovich, who I very much want to see. So our guest tonight was nice enough to come in. We're filming this on a Tuesday. and
Couple
putting it
couple
in,
days early.
couple days early, but we're doing it just like we do any show. We start, and when we end, we end. Nothing will be changed in between, and it will be exactly like any other show we do. So we'll just push the play button on Thursday, and it will air on a normal Thursday. Otherwise, you're going to racks and stacks for Tesla and Leonard Skinner, and I'm going to come in,
hang out.
point and go, what about that? Hey, go over there, like that, just to be annoying, basically.
I'm too good. You're not going to be able to find anything.
Yeah, no, I know. Actually, there may be some truth to that. But and you're going to go with the big dog, Mikey Brown. So between the two,
Yeah,
you
see, we're
and
good.
The rest
We're
of the
good.
crew, you guys going to make short work of it. I have every faith. You got Laser going out on that, one of our best
That's
LD
right.
guys, and he's all fucking ass and elbows.
Two Kyles and a mic.
Yeah,
Fuck, can't
two
get better.
Kyles and a mic. Yeah, they have no idea what they're in for. They're going to be. That's gonna be a happening situation, and then I believe you're following that entourage up to Nevada and doing it yet another show with I believe Leonard Skinner. Yeah, is Tesla gonna still support that one?
I don't think so. I think we get a different opener.
Yeah,
Oh, they're
Tesla's
on both.
but
So,
not-
but our first opener is.
and I
not.
believe that's a
right.
band called Petty Theft, which is a really good Tom Petty cover
Yeah,
band, right?
cover
They're
band.
like kind of next level. They're not, kind of a serious band. And I guess they're just doing the Concord show. But yeah, it'd be a great experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah.
But that's about it for this week, man. We've just been, like I said, super busy. We're a little tired, a little butt whooped, but we're getting it.
Yeah. That's all you got?
That's it.
That's all he's got, people.
That's all I got.
That's all he's got. So my guy's super sleep deprived and overworked, but he's not underappreciated.
I appreciate you.
No,
That's what I
appreciate
appreciate most about you, Vince,
you. Which is?
is that you appreciate me.
So there was a bunch of word salad right there. Do with it what you will. I think we're just going to roll right forward and get to the guest.
All right,
I
sir.
appreciate you being here. Is it me or do I look a little dark? I can't tell. Is it me?
I think you need to roll with it.
I'm
great.
totally rolling with it. I got no lampy in my game. I don't know how to do good. Somebody get a flashlight and just point it
I
at
got
my
a
face.
handheld. You're a little dark. We're rolling with it.
My dear, and I want to put a shout out right now. My dear good friend, Mr. Laser, who's building, I think, 3 different shows right now, one of our top lighting guys, stopped what he was doing and dialed this in for me, and I'm always appreciative of his help and his kicking in. So our normal lighting guy is out with Incubus right now, which, of course, is Alan Pettibone. And so Laser stepped in and dialed us right up, and thank you, Mr. Laser. We appreciate that more than anything.
Thank you,
wish,
Laser.
Mr. Pettibone, happy tour. I guess he'll be back next week. He's doing a couple fly dates. He just got off the road with them, so he'll be back in a minute, and then we'll catch up with him.
Love it.
Love it, baby. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And thanks for working as hard as you do. I know you get pulled from a lot of different directions, and then you got a very busy week coming up. So
I appreciate it, man.
yeah, it's me and my brother and the whole of Sound Image appreciates your contribution and how hard you guys work. And so thank you to the whole crew of Sound Image. We keep them busy and on their toes, and sometimes that calls for a little sleeplessness. And so thanks, man.
Anytime,
All
buddy.
right, pal. Listen, I'm going to get right to it. I've picked out a real treat for us tonight.
You got another nugget?
I bring in. I try to cover all the different disciplines in our business, but sometimes you get lucky and you get a guy like the guy our guest this evening. He's kind of an all-around badass roadie. I like a person that's got a lot of different abilities in their game. To me, that's more tools in your toolbox. If you can drive a forklift and a fucking truck as well, man, you're aces in my book. You can do backline. You can. Our guest this evening is the ultimate roadie to me in my book. He's friggin' highly experienced in the backline game. He's stage managed very large festivals. He's done everything from Fish to, I think, Black Delicious. Huh? I had a lot of fun with him. And also as a go-to mix engineer in the game, somebody that a lot of people count on to get things done. He works with a lot of great coming up bands. We'll get to that. Please help us welcome the wonderful Terry LaPointe. How are you, my friend?
Great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's our absolute treat to have you. Thank you for coming in this evening. First of all, help us meet your cute little animal there.
Here's Lego.
Is this Lego?
Oh.
This is Lego, yeah.
What a cute.
We rescued him from Muttville
That's very sweet.
just before the pandemic, so he likes to hang out and
He's been very kind. He's been a great little guest.
He's a good boy.
Not all dogs are created equal. He is our 7th dog we've been lucky enough to invite on the show. And so he's in good company. Some superstars have showed up here, and he's been so well behaved, and we appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you for being here, Lego.
He's a good one.
All right, my friend. Hey, guys, if you like what we're doing, hit the like and the subscribe. The guys on that side of the camera make me say that. Do it, don't do it, whatever. Hey, buddy, how the hell did you get in this business? I know you started out back in the day. You got to give us the elevator speech and how you got into the game.
Sure. So I started in like the 90s. You know what I mean? And I was a performer like most people that get into this business.
Yeah.
And I was doing industrial music down in South Florida with a band called Nation of Fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I had gone to school at the Art Institute for Music Video Business, started breaking into it. And then music wasn't really, I learned that I was more of a tech guy. You know what I mean? It was like I was a good performer, but not a great musician. But gear-wise and figuring out and mixing and stuff, like that's where I started excelling at.
Yeah.
So like I started working for some companies down in Miami like Garrett Sound and Instrument Rental Cartage, and started doing backline and doing tours and building stages and all kinds of stuff. And then, you know, as I got older, I started doing more and more sound stuff, and, you know, I do mostly backline and sound now, but I've done everything you can imagine. My first tour was the Reverend Al Green.
All right, pump your brakes, Chatty Cathy. He's getting out ahead of us. So he almost told us the whole thing.
No,
you
just
got
to there.
Slow your roll.
That's it.
All
That's
right.
the beginning.
All right. So as it relates to doing backline, because I want to kind of break it up into little pieces, if you don't mind. You know, a hot backline guy can make or break a band. A guy that either got it or don't got it.
Yeah.
What's your experiences in doing backline? Is that the first place you got into the game with?
Well, yeah, because I was doing staging first, but like I just wanted to learn all the things. But you know, Garrett Sound developed a backline company, a department just for me.
Oh no shit.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty
they
great.
went and bought a bunch of gear, and they let me run the backline department. And I just had a knack for it, you know, setting up drums and guitar. I could figure out keyboards pretty easily, and you know, it's just been it came real natural.
Yeah. Well, you had the musician background. So
exactly.
what was your instrument of choice when you played?
I played like keyboards and samples and like drum programming and stuff. Because the industrial music, you need that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's right. Right. So it's kind of like in the milieu of like the early ministry and shit like that.
Totally. Yeah.
I remember
Exactly.
these days.
My singer was the bass player from Marilyn Manson.
Oh no shit.
Originally.
Twiggy?
Yeah. Way before Twiggy.
Okay.
Yeah, Olivia Newton-Bundy was his stage name.
Olivia Newton-Bundy. That's pretty great. Olivia, that works. That is so Marilyn Manson type name of a band member.
Totally, yeah. So and then, you know, after he left that, we started Nation of Fear down in South Florida. And, you know, we did that, so it kind of progressed. But I was always the one doing the demos, and I was all, you know what I mean, the drummer and I were always doing the recording stuff and setting up all the stuff and running all the business aspects of it. Yeah, it just came easy.
Well, it sounds like it was kind of a natural step, a natural progression, you know?
Yeah.
And then that kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, and that kind of led into getting more responsibilities like stage managing and things?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in the early 2000s, I moved back to Massachusetts and started doing production there.
Yeah.
And I got some calls and started doing the festival circuit, which I was stage managing. And I was the overnight site manager for Coventry and the last two huge fish festivals.
Oh, no shit.
I had crew of 20 guys. We ran the overnights. We were in charge of like all the water towers, all the porta-johns, all the roads. Like I was at it in Coventry for like weeks at a time. Before Coventry, we actually built roads out of people's farms. So we ended up getting 6 weeks of straight rain. So every day we would build a road, we'd come back, and it would be gone. And we'd have to put culverts in and, you know, and redo it and just, you know, so we were doing that. And, you know, we had to build, you know, the wall around the arena, which was just another field, 1.7 miles of scaff and plywood.
Jesus.
And I was in charge of the crews that did that. Yeah, it was a real test of endurance.
Did you say 1.7 miles?
Yeah, 1.7 miles.
That's an extensive distance.
It took a long time.
Oh my goodness! And they probably just still climbed over it in the end.
And you know, the rain was so crazy. I mean, I don't know if you know stories about it, but the traffic was backed up for miles. People were like walking in to do the festival, and everything was a mess. It got so bad that we were dragging RVs and cars and trucks in with tractors and pulling them out the same way. Like to clean the porta-johns, we would drag the porta unit in with a tractor so we could clean the porta-johns and then drag it back out. It got to be so bad that we ended up just using the airport runway, and we just lined it with porta-johns on both sides we had to find a place for these people. There was 100,000 people there.
Yeah.
You know, we had to find a spot for them to
safely relieve themselves.
Safely go to the bathroom, you know.
Yeah.
So it was just.
Hey, sweet.
But yeah, super lot of work there, you know, and that's, you know, and I took a little break from doing backline and started stage managing a lot of festivals and became production manager at a lot of festivals and kind of helped build the structure from the early 2000s to now, kind of the way that we do festivals now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We started, you know, building the production roads and all that. So, you know, the production had access, rooms for buses, trucks, and trailers, not, you know, not just a backstage this big and, you know, like a lot of festivals used to do back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it was pretty crazy. So I kind of stepped away from the back line a little bit, you know, in that time frame. But during that time frame, I had just started doing a lot of mixing because my engineers wouldn't show up to my stage. Or they'd be too wasted, or, you know, I'd be doing a late night stage and they would be there for a minute and then they would be gone. Yeah. You know, so it's like, so I ended up started just doing a lot of mixing at my own stage managing gigs, where it became to a point where people would be like, when's your stage closed? Can you come mix our set? You know?
It's a high compliment right there. That's a high compliment. That's big time.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. You know, I really enjoyed doing the festivals for a while. It was a good way to become a well-rounded, you know, technician.
Well, you really get the whole thing in a kind of hurry about how this all works. And I know you're a man that keeps and pays attention. And so I'm sure it was beneficial to you because you've come so far since then. You mentioned, before I parked the brakes on you, you mentioned Al Green, Reverend Al Green.
Reverend Al Green, yeah.
Okay, well, for those who don't understand or know, Al Green is fucking badass. It doesn't,
Legend.
in some ways, doesn't get much better.
Yes.
You know, he's in that level with Marvin Gaye and Teddy
Absolutely,
Pendergrass, and I mean, he's just
Barry
extraordinary.
White, all that, all of that.
When you were with him, was this during his? Because the Reverend thing kind of came later in his career.
So this was in the mid '90s. Is when I started doing it. Right when we became the Reverend.
Yeah.
And I took a full backline out. I had 2 Hammonds, 2 Leslies with the bass pedals, 2 bass rigs, a keyboard station, 2 guitars, and percussion.
And where are these Leslies at now in pedals? Just give me an address, just write it here so I can go and get those if you would. Because it's my favorite instrument by far, or my favorite, certainly, piece of gear.
Yeah. They came from a company called IRC that was out of Miami, which is now SIR Miami.
Oh, of course. Well, you mentioned SIR. And when Al Green, did he still play his hits and all his great songs?
He played all the hits, all the great songs, And, you know, he would, you know, do the thing like the James Brown thing where he'd, like, walk off the stage and come back out. And, you know, all the girls would be screaming. They'd put the coat on him. You know, the tour manager like walking back. He'd be like, I ain't done yet.
No.
I ain't done yet. You know?
Highest form of flattery right there is to steal from somebody who's got it pat.
Yeah,
and James Brown is the best.
It was real awesome. And, you know, in the 90s, too, it was like I was the only white guy on the tour. You know, all the rest of the crew were black people. All the musicians were black. And it was just one of the best experiences I ever had. They used to call me the white boy. They'd be like, hey, white boy, we need a guitar stand over here. You know?
Yeah. That means they loved you. Hey, buddy.
Exactly. So I got really lucky to be able to get that one, you know, because I did, you know, like 30, 40 shows with him.
It's Al Green.
And it was Al Green.
That is one for the resume, you know.
That's huge.
That is such
huge.
a...
So
Great,
I got real lucky.
Yeah,
my first real tour was that.
Very, very, very sweet. You mentioned SIR. Did you also work SIR Barrier?
I still work for SIR.
Dan and
I work for Dan and Paul.
Paulie?
I started there 2004-ish maybe, and I still work there. I just did a gig last week for them.
Doing backline for him?
Backline and audio, and I run the studio whenever I can for them.
Oh.
So when they have rehearsals and bands come in to rehearse,
Yeah.
I go in and set up the studio and stuff. So.
Uncle Paulie was just here today.
Yeah.
And we have a close associate. Great guys. Great organization.
Great team. So yeah, when I'm here in the city, I help them out when I can, you know. Nowadays, I also work at the Independent and the Regency for when I'm at home.
Yeah. Oh, great rooms.
Yeah, great rooms. I was doing Terrapin Crossroads. I helped open that up in 2012, but that's gone now. So I was there on and off the whole time.
What's the Terrapin Crossroads? Who was this?
That's Phil Lesh.
It was Phil Lesh,
yeah,
right?
Phil Lesh from the Dead.
Yeah.
He bought, it was called the Seafood Peddler, and it's up in San Rafael.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, as a matter of fact, his name was Larry the Hat, and he used to promote shows there. And it was called the Palm Ballroom, was the back little patio they had. And I did the last show there mixing. I was with Hot Buttered Rum and New Monsoon in 2011 into 2012.
Wow.
Phil opened up March of 2012. I was there for the very first shows there, and I was there for one of the last 5 shows in last year when it closed down.
No kidding.
Interesting. Did you train Andrew Erickson to take over?
I did not train Andrew, no. But we did work together a bunch. I was mostly on tour back when he came on board. Ian and I were like some of the first 2, and Alex Jarvie, I don't know if you remember him.
I do.
We were the first 3 that we were like kind of like the ones that got it started. Yeah, so it was super fun.
You mentioned Fish. Did you have, I'm sorry.
No, just say that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. You mentioned Fish earlier. This is Fish, the jam band.
Fish the jam band.
And
yeah,
they would have the
lot of
big
jam band
festival.
scene. That's my scene.
You're down. You're
Yeah.
down. The 28-minute songs and
Not really. I'm not a Fish fan per
Yeah.
se, but I work at the jam band scene.
Yeah.
That's the majority of the festivals I do. It's the majority of the bands I
you
work
mentioned
in.
Phil Lesh and
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, there's I struggle with that movement a little bit, but this is, people in the love of music in it. It's great.
Yeah,
and
they
so
definitely love their bands. But the cool thing about the jam band scene is they don't only like the bands, they also like the crew.
Yeah.
So like when they go see your band, if you like Humphreys McGee and you go see Humphreys, you're like, fuck yeah, Chris Mitchell's mixing, you know what I mean?
Right,
It's
right.
You know, like it's not just, oh, this band's awesome. They're like, oh, dude, I love them. They're engineers. Like, that's why we come to see this band, because they make it sound so good,
Yeah. Well, Humphreys, you picked out Humphreys of all the jam bands. And what I would point out with them is their light show is probably one of the best in business.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yes.
damn.
Yes.
Did you just see the one at Red Rocks? It was incredible.
It was pretty special.
Yeah,
I mean, they really filled that place out.
Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah, so.
Yeah. So, and frankly, I wasn't a huge fan. RLD, mentioned before, Alan Pettibone turned me on to something new. One day I was bashing him, and he's like, "Dude, check this out!" And he put on some live clip, and they were ripping through a Rush song lick for lick, and it was. And I think they were just trying to show they could do anything, pretty much.
Right. Yeah.
And I could not deny their greatness. Humphreys McGee, Bring It. That's one hell of a band. As a band.
Yeah,
as guys playing instruments.
Yes, exactly.
They
You know what I
friggin'
mean? And not
smoke.
only that, they have a really good touring model.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not out all the time. They do, nice runs.
Kind of
and then-
family friendly.
Oh, totally
Yeah.
family friendly.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree
they
with
all
that.
have wives and kids now and stuff.
That's
and
right. Yeah.
They're great. Yeah. So I really, that scene has really helped mold my career a lot. Just dealing with those kind of bands, the Disco Biscuits and just all this stuff that
String Cheese. And
String
guys like
Cheese
that,
and
sure.
all those people are,
Yeah.
all those crew people. We're all a team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all friends. We all like fill in and sub for each other, and
Yeah.
it's just a really good community for our style of people in that scene. They really, really love the crew.
Well, I have to give it to you on that. I think I got screwed, or not screwed. I got turned off early on, back when the Grateful Dead were still a band. Gary Garcia they were touring for Touch of Grey, I think it was called. It was that hit song they had.
Right.
It's their only hit.
Yeah.
And it was fucking massive. I mean, it was massive, And my first show with them was at Laguna Seca Raceway, and it was about 300,000 people for 4 days, X-Ray Spec, and Bruce Hornsby in the range. And it was a fucking nightmare. And then I had 12 more of those with them, or 12 total, I should say, 11 more.
Right.
And I just told myself, I'm never, ever doing this again with them. Now, again, I was very young.
Right.
This is 87 or something. I'm
Sure.
like doing stage maintenance. It was incredible. Like Some of the shit those people were getting up to, some of the smells.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the smells. I will cite the smells.
You have a hard time on the bus, bud.
It was rough, man. I
Yeah.
just gotta tell you, I almost came away from the music game. I was like, that's it for me. I just realized I just had to make a different set of rules, and I fell away from that. So I might not be the best person to go to on that. You know,
No, we all have our scenes.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
I just came up in that scene. I had a lot of opportunities because of that scene.
Yeah.
You know, like the main band I work for now, Fruition, we're not a jam band, but we play all the jam band festivals. You know what I mean?
I
Like-
thought Fruition was, again, not knowing much about
Yeah.
them, I thought they were kind of a reggae type band. No?
No, we are Americana
Yeah?
with a little bit of rock and soul in it. Yeah, totally. It's 3 singers, 2 guys and a girl, 5-piece band.
Wow.
And it is just rock and roll. Good, great music. Check out Fruition.
Yeah.
They're great.
I certainly will. I certainly will now that I've gotten more information about
Yeah,
them.
they don't play 20-minute songs. They don't jam for hours. They come out, they hit you, they tug your heartstrings, and then they let you go.
That's
I'm
pretty
sorry to
sweet.
interrupt, but I wish there was another camera just for your dog right
Just
now.
to
It's
see how
hysterical.
cute he is looking at me.
It's pretty damn cute.
Hi,
It's
you wanna come
he
up
clearly
here?
loves Papa.
Come on.
He's like,
Yeah, he's
Legos.
down with daddy.
Man.
Look at that cute little bastard.
There we go. Wow.
Yeah. Very,
Right, he's just like, I want to come up here.
Yeah, he was
I've
thinking,
looked around
he was
enough.
asking questions. I want to dig around in a couple of the spots you've stopped by. You know,
Yeah.
there's a couple. All right, listen. I've done Kennedy Center.
Okay. That's
Never
not-
done Carnegie.
Oh,
Talk to me about working Carnegie Hall.
so the artist is Stefan Rembel.
Okay.
He does gypsy jazz, kind of like Django Reinhardt
Yeah,
style.
very similar.
And what we do each year is called Django Go-Go. And we do a bunch of master classes with master guitar teachers from around the world on that style of music. And then we do some local shows, and it ends up with a culmination.
That'd be
The
cool.
very first one we did was at Carnegie Hall. Now, they don't do a lot of live music. It's mostly just acoustic instruments, just carries everything. They have one mono Nexo rig in the middle, and they had to rent a console from me because they don't own a console.
Weird.
Yeah,
What console do you
and
like
a
to rock?
CL5.
That's it. They brought in a CL.
They brought in a CL5, yeah.
Oh,
And,
shit.
you know, it's typical union stuff. You know, I couldn't move a chair 4 inches. I couldn't adjust my own microphones just to get it to the right spot. I had to have the A2 doing that, or I had to have the carpenter move the chair.
Sure.
You know, but they were all super nice.
Yeah.
And
Really?
Yeah.
Local one, being nice.
Local one. It's Carnegie Hall.
caught 'em on an off
It's not
day.
Madison Square Garden.
No, yeah, I think that might be the difference. You know, I mean,
know what I
Carnegie,
mean?
it's to pick who they want in that hall,
yeah,
I imagine.
exactly, and it's the same guys that have probably been there forever.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
they,
it's like
they picked the most well-behaved, I imagine.
so. Yeah, so it was really cool, you know, and the experience was great. You know what I mean? Like, but I didn't really have to do too much because the room is acoustically designed. So you know what I mean? It was actually a little harder to tame it because I had 12 acoustic guitar players, all with
Wow.
condenser mics, you know, bass, drums, and horns. So there was a lot of open mics, a lot of
Yeah, I could get
soloing
away from
back
me
and
real
forth.
quick, I
Yeah,
imagine.
oh yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So now we switched it to Town Hall, which is also another famous venue in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't been there, it's probably like the second or third oldest venue that's still in New York City.
Yeah.
It's pretty historical, and we do it there now.
Yeah.
And it's still pretty awesome. And I'm actually going to be there. I believe it's May this year, May 2023. We'll be doing it this year.
Yeah. That's,
But it's super awesome. Carnegie was. I don't even know. You know, it was like that kind of experience, just like it's a dream come true. You know, it's like there's some places as an engineer that you want to mix, and of course that's one of them. You know, it's like, and I was very fortunate to be able to do that.
did
So-
the single column of the Nexo give you trouble?
Nope, not really at all. It was just, you know, it was actually probably better than having a stereo rig because so many condenser microphones.
Yeah.
If I would have had way more boxes to deal with, it probably would have been a little harder to tame the beast.
That would have been pretty hot room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it ended up working out good, you know, and the drummer fortunately is very play to the room. So we were like lay it down, you know.
Yeah,
Don't be playing rock drummer style. Exactly.
And attack and so on.
Yeah. It's like, you know, play like you're in Carnegie Hall, not like you're at, you know, Madison Square Garden.
Well, you know, you're not wrong. That's a thing. That's a thing. We
Yeah.
were watching the recent thing with the Dave Grohl tribute for Taylor Hawkins, and his son played. You probably saw this.
Yeah.
And that kid, I don't think you could get him in a place like Carnegie Hall. He was hitting so fucking hard.
Oh my God, I know,
I mean,
right?
he was trying to
Right.
destroy those drums. It was like they'd said something about his mom or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he was just going after it. And I think there's some drummers out there that understand his father. Taylor Hawkins
Yeah.
was very good about attack and
Oh,
approach
yeah.
and for effect. You know, so he could bring it, he could pull it in real
dynamics,
close,
maybe,
and
exactly.
he could give it the nice. When you're behind somebody like Dave Grohl, who can pretty much just take and push you out and do the drums himself,
Yep.
get exactly what he wants. You have to become that. But it is a thing that I've noticed. Not every drummer has much is always aware of this process or
Yeah.
this principle. That it's not all just,
Right.
you know, it's not all
that's
John
one
Bonham.
of the
you
good
know,
things
there's-
about
there's
Fruition
sometimes-
too. Like Fruition's drummer is also their record producer, so he understands the dynamics of the drums. So like if we're playing in a smaller room, he knows to
Pulls it back.
he knows how to pull it back. You know, so
It's so much, and it's not just better for the music and the experience, but it also helps with the
yeah,
you know,
with
the
mix,
technicians
yeah,
trying to make it happen.
Absolutely,
the
you know,
engineer.
it's like, you know, when your guitarist is playing at 100 decibels, and no matter what size room you're at, you have to work around that stuff. And usually the drummer's the way around, because if the guitar's so loud, then you know the drummer's playing louder to play, and it's just, and then it's just that
Compensate.
pile up on top of each other, and then the next thing you know, you get that big wall of sound, but it's loud, but you can't distinguish anything because everybody's so loud. And
Yeah, that's no fun. That's no fun. That's when you whip out the baffle of shame. You
Right.
stick it right on the 4x12.
right, you're like, all right, it's time for you to chill out.
You're not gonna, you got nothing in the fucking mains.
That's
you know?
right.
It's all just coming off the
That's
stage.
2020, we just take the amps off the stage and put them behind the shit.
Yeah, man, I'd
Yeah.
love to have a band that did that.
I so get that. You did something that I've only have. I know a lot of motherfuckers. I just do. And I only have one other friend that has roadied in fucking Africa.
Yeah.
You went to Africa and roadied. Tell me about this.
I went to Africa with Stefan Rembel. We went over there twice. The first time we went to Nigeria, to Abuja, which is the capital city, and we went as guests of the United States Embassy.
Wow.
And we went there and we developed the first ever jazz festival in Abuja.
That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. We had some great musicians. They were obviously all local African musicians,
Sure.
and we had some kids perform too, just to try and make it a family affair. Because
Yeah.
jazz is kind of like that.
Yeah, inclusive.
Like Monterey Jazz Fest, they have the kids stuff. Then
They're
you know
building
what I
it
mean?
as we speak right now.
Yes, they are.
It's one
I
of
used
the
to
best
do
jazz
that one, too.
festivals in the world.
Did
Yeah.
backline for that for 10 years.
Yeah, that's shit. And we have a lot of similar friends, I bet, buddy,
Yeah.
on that
The
one.
other Jimmy Lyons.
Yeah,
right?
The other
right.
Jimmy Lyon, yeah. But yeah, so we did that, and then we went around and we played some schools and did some like lectures and stuff. So like we would
Yeah.
go and play the show, and I was calling them like renegade sets, like they do at Burning Man. You get the van with the gear,
Yeah.
show up, you throw the gear up,
Yeah.
you get in, you play the show, you throw the gear out, and you're out of there.
Yeah. Combat audio battle.
Yeah, it was insane because everywhere we went in Abuja, in Abuja, we had military escort
Yeah.
everywhere. We couldn't go anywhere without it.
It's that bad there.
It's that bad there. The day that we got there, somebody tried to run a car into the embassy
Oh my
with a
God.
bomb,
With
and
a bomb,
couldn't
and
get
blow the
and they
fucker up.
couldn't get in, so they went and did it to the Turkish embassy. So like
Wow.
3 buildings down had a big explosion mark on it and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, we couldn't even go to the store, to the market across the street.
Well, that's
or,
swipe you right up.
or anything.
You
yeah.
could turn up missing, yeah.
And they even said, they were like, if you get kidnapped, it might take a couple days, but we'll get you back. We were like,
God.
fuck, okay, all right, well, here we go, And it was cool because we did a bunch of radio stations, and I was able to, like, teach these people how to use their sound consoles because they
That's
literally
great.
just had everything,
Yeah.
all, and I'm like, watch this. And they're like, And they're like, hey, and here we are at WKKKKKKK. You know what I mean? It's just like, and they were just like, oh my God, you're so, it was a really great learning experience. I taught all the people at the embassy, what, you don't like this story?
I think you need
Calling me out?
Hook him up. Hook him up. Tell him in. There you go,
Tissue.
baby.
You calling
We
me
got
out?
you. We
There
got
you
you
go, Lego.
covered.
So that was really fun. I taught the embassy guys how to use their own equipment
That's
because they didn't know
awesome.
how to use it.
Yeah.
And we had a really good time. And then the second time, we went to Cote d'Ivoire. We went to Abidjan, which is the capital,
Yeah.
and did a similar thing. And this time we did it right around Ramadan. So all the Muslim people, they usually go into this one field all around the mosque, and they all pray.
Yeah.
And we had it was also the World Cup. So we were opening the World Cup. We were playing shows. They would have big video screens so all the people could watch it for free.
Yeah.
Hosted by a cell phone company down there. But they had taken the whole field for this particular night. So when it was time to do the prayers, the 4 o'clock or 4:20 prayer, there's quite a few people, and they were just kind of lying in the streets, and they were just doing their thing, and it was so awesome. They was getting in that rhythm with them and stuff. And then the 7:30 dusk one, the big one,
Yeah.
there was thousands of people just lining the streets, on their roofs of the building, on the roofs of the mosque, all around. And, and they're all just working in unison, saying their prayers, doing their thing, and having this harmonious, it was just so amazing to be there. You could just feel the energy of these people just praying and stuff. And then after that, they all came into the concert field, and we started playing some music. We played some Stefan songs, and then we played Ogie from Muskogee.
You're kidding, right?
No, why would I kid?
How'd they respond to that?
That was their favorite song. So they had the towels to
Fucking
hoot and holler, and they're
Yeah, they do this. Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean? And they're
yeah.
like, they were just like, loved the country music, and they were screaming at their top of the lungs for it.
Wow.
And they had such a good time. And then after the show, we watched the game and stuff like that. And I think it was like Brazil versus Germany or something that year.
Sure. What an experience.
Super fun, yeah. It was.
Yeah.
I feel very honored to be able to have gone and done that. So.
Oh,
too
you're
cool.
in a small group of folks that
Yeah.
have that experience. I mean,
So
again,
it was pretty awesome.
the only other folks that we know is Brian.
Brian
Altamira.
Anorama?
You call him what you want to call him. I'll call him what I call him.
Okay.
Altamira. What'd you call him?
I think it's Adorama.
No, that is his name, but
Oh, okay.
not necessary.
Got you.
Yeah, Mr. Altamira went to Nigeria with Michael Frontaine Spearhead.
Oh,
And
nice.
he had a
Yep,
very
yep.
similar experience, like the same exact thing. The guards and
Oh yeah.
don't go anywhere.
Depends on what country you're in. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
Nigeria is an oil-hungry country,
Yeah,
so it's very greedy.
yeah, they're
over
they're
there,
a little rough. Yeah,
Like Cote d'Ivoire is French run, so everybody's like super chill and mellow, and there's no military pressure there because it's totally just like super chill.
yeah, they just kind of handle it differently.
Yeah, exactly.
I only got a cousin that she went out to the Peace Corps to Zambia for a while, but I feel like that was like an entirely different part of the, section.
That is definitely a
Very-
whole different
Yeah.
world over there on the East Coast of.
Yeah.
It was like we were on the West Coast.
Well, it's a very unsettled continent. What is it? Some 46 or 48 countries there. And,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of movement, a lot of change around.
A lot
There's
of
still a little bit
changing
of the
constantly.
colony
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
left over, and
Yep.
it's like French and Portuguese. And I
Yeah,
believe
and
some,
there's a lot
yeah.
of there's a lot of inter arguments too. A lot,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah. Well, really, I'm not going to say that.
well,
I was gonna say something.
for example, like the farmers fight with the cattle owners because the cattle are eating the farmers' crops, kind
Sure.
of situation. So it's
Well, and a lot of those like
heated.
certain cultures there, if I understand right, that is how you display wealth.
Yes.
It's through your ownership of cattle, a certain
Yes.
amount of cattle.
Yep.
And it's kind of how they keep score. Not, of course, every of the 46 countries, but certainly in Central and certain parts of Northern and Eastern
Yeah.
Africa. And cattle is a big deal, And yeah, I can imagine the farmers having some problems with the stray cattle getting in
Yep,
their
totally.
shit.
They
and
just, because they're grazers, so you just kind of let
Eating
them
up their
roam
profits.
around, and there's,
Yeah.
the next thing you know, you're on someone's property, eating their roots and,
Yeah.
their potatoes or whatever, their carrots. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I was like,
I can see that being a little bit of a source of conflict.
Yeah.
Without much effort there. I was digging around in your history, and I noticed you've done the New Orleans Jazz Festival.
yes.
To me, again, there's Newport, there's Monterey, there's New Orleans,
Yeah.
and the big ones, if you ask me.
Right.
So but they're very different from each other. Very
Absolutely.
different. And I would say New Orleans is, compared to the other two I mentioned, is completely different.
Yeah. It's my favorite.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Yes.
Super, super fun.
So as you know, the Acura stage is like the main, big, huge stage. Well, I
Yeah.
was able to mix the New Orleans Bingo Show
Oh, man.
on the main stage of Jazz Fest a few
Very
years
cool.
back. Yeah.
Very, very
And
cool.
2019, just in the before times, Jack Johnson was playing on the other stage, and Fruition came and sat in, so I was able to come and do it again with Jack Johnson's guys because we were on tour with Jack, opening for Jack Johnson.
Very cool.
So he was like, every night we were sitting in with him. Yeah, so great story for this. It was awesome. So we were in like Baton Rouge, and we were like, we're supposed to play the House of Blues late night, and our manager, Josh Nicotra, runs Brushfire Records, which is Jack Johnson's label.
Yes, it is.
So he calls us up, and he's like, how far are you guys away from Jazz Fest? Jack wants you to sit in. We're like, well, we're in Baton Rouge. She's like, well, how fast can you get here? It's like, well, what is it, like 68, 70 miles or something?
It's
We're
like an hour and a half.
yeah, we're like, we can be there in about an hour.
Yeah.
So we rush down, we haul ass down there, we park some weird spot, grab the pedal boards out of the band, jump in a runner van for the New Orleans Jazz Fest, and she starts hauling ass through town. Like total rock star moment. It was great. Running red lights. We get to the fairgrounds. The cops are like, stop, hold on, what the heck's going on here? They're like, these people are supposed to be on the stage right now. They're like, everybody stop. They made a huge hole in the road for us. We go hauling ass down. We jump out, jump into golf carts. They're stopping traffic all the way. We get there. I run up on stage with the two pedal boards, open them up, plug them into the amps. And Jack's like, I'd like to bring Fruition out on stage. Like, it was just like literally that quick. It was just like, then you get done. I'm like, holy shit, like, we made it.
Well, I've been around, and I have never seen a state, a city, a people, more than New Orleans, as I like to be called, New Orleans. They love their music. They respect their music. Even the officials, even the Johnnies and the city officials and so on. They just kind of, they do what it takes to get that to happen.
Absolutely.
And what you just described is not a rare occurrence.
Nope. They were down for it. They were like, we're used to this.
That week,
late flights, people getting in.
That week they just turned the city over.
Yep.
It's like it's yours. You go. You bring it. And because the lineups are so, what's the word? They're not a normal jazz lineup. You're going to have a little bit of everybody. You're going to have a lot of
You
their
get rock,
eclectic.
you get gospel, you get jazz, you get funk, you get
There's
soul.
something for everybody. About
you get a
every
little
2-3 hours, you get some food in, and they have the best food.
The best food,
Oh my
some crawfish
God.
Monica.
They got snowballs, man. They're
Oh
not
my
snow cones. They're
God.
snowballs.
No, they're
That's
balls.
right.
They're snowballs. And they're yummy as hell, man. No. I could eat crab beignets and then
Right,
all
all
just
day.
like
Some boudin and
yeah, some shit. It's a very special place.
yeah.
I would imagine a place like being in a gig like that, your sponsorship with the Bud Company, you have to tell us about this, really comes in handy. I imagine you're a very popular guy.
Yeah. So anyway,
You are sponsored with the Bud Company. Please tell us about that.
Pacific Stone is the brand that they
Nice.
represent. They give me free weed.
Badass.
And they have a brand out right now that's called The Time Machine, which I plug. And my little guerrilla marketing campaign that I do is like, the Time Machine has brought me to Jazz Fest, and I'm here with Fruition today, you know what I mean? And then the tagline is, I'm Pacific Stone. So I get Pacific Stone, carry around the Time Machine, I go city to city, and I get free weed, and it's amazing. They're super awesome people. Matt Tepper has been my sponsor. And
We trade lives, please.
every city I go to, I have free weed. I bring free weed, or they bring me free weed.
That
Every
is
city I go to.
a wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. You fell into a big, wonderful flower of goodness.
Yes.
Good for you.
Thanks.
So good for you, representing for Time Machine and their parent company.
It's really, I'm really fortunate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been able to do some really amazing things. And speaking of New Orleans, I got to work with the Seven Walkers with George Porter playing bass.
Oh, Jesus.
And Bill Kreutzmann from the Dead.
You
so,
suck.
Yeah.
I mean, great. I mean, really cool. That came out all right.
got Vince jealous.
I apologize, man. You hear what he said?
It's
Fuck. Damn it, man. All right. Well, that happens in this job of mine.
It does. And we're all lucky to do what we do, and we have
Yeah.
our experiences with who we have them with.
yeah.
I've just been fortunate enough to have some really, really cool people.
Oh, just a Django Reinhardt thing you're doing. That.
Yeah.
Jesus God.
Yeah, man.
No, it sounds like you get to, we don't always in the game get to be in front of the stuff we necessarily love. It's the work. We do the work,
Totally. And at this point especially, I only do what I love. Like, I might take a gig, for money sometimes, but like, I literally only take gigs I like, or I'll continue with them. Like, I just did a great run with Trombone Shorty in the New Orleans app. So
He was
good.
out at
And we
Oxbow
rented
with us.
gear from Sound Image.
Yes.
My monitor console was a CL3. We had a couple of you guys' 15 speakers.
I think some of the M15s, maybe.
Right, the M15s,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
then,
that's a Sound Image
amp rack, power supply, and all our cabling came from Sound Image.
And everything went well, I'm sure.
Everything was great, except they gave us one of the wrong power cables.
That doesn't sound like something we would do.
And your boys at Oxbow
Yeah.
hooked me up with the right cable. What happened was, because you guys are so fucking busy,
Yeah.
they gave us a 3-pin connector
L5,
instead of a 5-pin.
L21.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to do backline power, so I had to borrow cables until we got to Oxbow. But then you guys
We
hooked me
sorted
up.
it.
Of course,
Mike.
of
Great,
course.
great. We apologize for
Of
the
course.
temporary inconvenience, but we were there to. And you guys,
Absolutely.
when you came to Oxbow, you blew that place out.
Oh,
I
that
mean,
was such a
what
great show.
I mean,
yeah.
just so good. Trombone Shorty is such a talent.
Yeah,
and,
I was very lucky to be able to go and do that run.
Yeah.
Their front of house guy, John, is amazing.
Yeah.
And, their lighting guy also, Josh, is
Mm-hmm.
like, that's how I got the gig. Josh and I have been friends forever. He used to work with me on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, hey, we need somebody to fill in. I was like, yeah, I'm off right now.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
And they put you in the monitor position?
Put me in the monitor position,
Do you have a preference, monitor front
I
house?
prefer front of house,
Okay.
but I'm a team player, as you can tell. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Whatever it takes.
Absolutely.
If I need to do monitors, I'll do monitors, know?
But as it relates to being out front, talk to me about your mixing philosophy. I'm not sure it was on air, maybe it was on air, where you're talking about where there's people getting mowed down and, bringing it all kind of sitting on top of each other and it just turns into a big wall of noise.
Right.
What is your mixing philosophy?
How I mix, I call it layers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I have a pretty unique sense. Like, I can kind of see sound coming from the speakers. So like, when I tune my PAs, I
Synesthesia.
look at the speaker and I can actually see the waves coming out. So I can tell what speaker's not working just by looking at it. It's a really cool thing.
No. If you don't understand what he's talking about,
I've met several people.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
it's
and it
just-
can literally
it's
be
fun.
like they see colors.
Some people see the colors. I actually
he
see
sees
the wave,
waves.
which
Yeah.
is, and so what I do is I build layers, and usually I do, rhythm and bottom ends first, you know what I mean? And then I just build on top, keyboards, and then the vocals are usually on top.
Sure.
Fruition is a very vocal heavy band.
Okay, 3 vocalists.
3 vocalists.
Sure.
They sing
Yeah.
Crosby, Stills, Nash harmony style harmonies.
And they hit those
And
notes.
they hit them.
No shit.
Just listen to this band, dude. You're going to fucking love them.
I'm putting it in I
You know
swear
what
to
I mean?
God, when we get off this, I'm going to play
They're
them.
fucking great.
Yeah, I'll put them in the house system.
So for me, for them, the vocal goes on top always for everything else.
Absolutely.
And then I mix the guitars like blues guitars. So the guitars punchy in on top, and then, and I boost the solos, and who's ever soloing, and I ride those. We have a mandolin player and a guitar player. They duel back and forth, and I'm a live automated mixer. You know, I do live
So
automations.
you work the whole show.
I work the whole show. I don't just set it and forget it.
Yeah.
They have so many little dynamics, and I've been with them for so long that I know all the
You know
little
all the
nuances.
key points. You know all the spots. All the.
You know, and then like with Black Alicious, you know what I mean? It's hip hop, so you know you gotta have the bass pumping, but you gotta have the vocal coming through. You know.
Yeah.
And with someone like Gifted Gab, who starts off like this and then they end up talking like, you know, it's really hard to get them to get dialed in. So it's like finding that, you know, that balance of the layers, you know, it's like, here's the live stuff. Here's the track, you know, we got, you know, and with Fruition, I don't use a lot of compression. I don't use any gates. I keep it as natural as possible, as little EQ, and just EQ the PA. And usually it's tuned pretty good, but they have their little frequencies that get a little hoofy and a little sissy. So I, you know, cut those out, and I just, you know, I try to work with good signal flow as most people try, you know, but you don't always get that. With this band, I get that. With Black Alicious, I would get the good tones. So it was really easy to do that. When I did Tommy Castro and the Painkillers, I was with him for a couple of years on and off. Yeah. And, you know, same thing. He's just, you know, it's a blues mix. Guitars are on top. Yeah. You know what I mean? He wants to hear the guitar. That's what the fans want to hear. You know, it's like that's what they come to see. Yeah. So depending on the style of music, but my theory is basically layers. You know what I mean? I like to have the rhythms. You know what I mean? And then the foundation, and then then the little twinklies and the vocals. Yeah. You know.
I'd love to hear what you do.
Well, I got like 700 shows on archive, at least maybe 800,000. I couldn't even tell you from all the bands I work with.
Yeah, but you know it's
not the same as live. But but they're out there, and you can get a good we just actually posted Fruition from Levitate Music Festival. Just got released today. Yeah. You know, we did that in July. It was a great festival. The show sounded great. It was awesome. And the crazy part about this festival was we were on our way from Vermont. And our bass player got the call to sit in with Jack Johnson because their bass player got COVID. Mm-hmm. So we're driving from Vermont to the Cape, Massachusetts, which is about a 6-hour drive. Yeah. And Jeff, our bass player, is learning all these Jack Johnson songs. And we had played with G Love and the Special Sauce up in this festival in Vermont. He was also going to Levitate to play with Jack.
What'd you do, the Green Mountain Music Festival?
It was called J Peak.
J Peak, okay.
Yeah, Jiminy Peak. It was Jiminy Crow or Jeezum Crow Festival. It was like 12 miles from the border. It was like really at like a little ski resort at J Peak, Vermont. Super fun. But we drove all the way down, and so Jeff, our bass player, is learning all these Jack Johnson songs. And we do our set, crush it. He runs us over. They do rehearsal. And the next day, their drummer got COVID, so they called T-Tom, our drummer from Fruition. He drove from his house in Pittsburgh to Philadelphia to meet the band, listening to the songs the whole drive, learning the songs. So our rhythm section ended up joining Jack Johnson for the rest of his tour from the summer because this guy's got COVID.
Wow. Funny. Not to be stopped. Got to give it to Jack for that.
Didn't stop. Yeah, they kept on rolling with the punches.
He's still up on stage with no shoes?
He still goes on stage with no shoes or flip-flops. Yeah, yep.
Always freaks me out when he gets near the cables, man.
Yeah.
Like he's going to die.
Yeah. So
that kid, man. He's got like his soda right there next to his monitor. He's like, never mind. So that's my problem. I was like, me and you've been friends for a minute, and I follow you closely on Facebook, and we were talking before the show. And I think you and me, and I mentioned earlier when we were talking, some of our friends like Rob Scoville or Chris Rybold, Ken Pooch, Van Derden, some badass.
Yeah.
Have recently been, Chris Leonard has been really at Signal and Noise podcast, a dear friend with Kyle Bernstein and Mike Lawrence.
Gotta check out Mike Lawrence's book, by the way.
Mike? I don't think he'll ever come on the show because I've been mean to him. And I heard this book is really great. I mean, they're carrying on about this book. And
I don't know. I just ordered it.
Did you order it? Can I read it after
I'm
you?
excited to to rip it open at the shop. We'll go through it. I think it's like 200 pages. I'm looking.
What is
Well,
it
I can
about?
put that down in a
The
couple
signal
bathroom
flow
sessions.
or
It's like his system optimization kind of.
Guy's kind of a badass SE, and
Right.
he's really well known. And he's got that show Signal Noise podcast.
Yeah.
About
We'll have to
175
do a
episodes.
shout out the next show or something when I get it. We'll
I
pull
would
it
very
out.
much. Well, I've been meaning to kind of feature that, is because it's again, all of our compadres, the comrades have said it's a hell of a book. I definitely trust his partners in crime over there at Signal
Right.
Noise when they say it's something that just has to be seen and read. Apparently, he's really got a great approach to it, and
Cool.
a bunch of really cool anecdotes. Makes it very relatable and very
Right.
digestible and very accessible, from what I understand. So a lot of good tips in it.
Definitely.
So we'll definitely, I would like that very much, just to further, his effort and to get it out to folks, to more people to know that it's available to them.
Absolutely, share it.
And then maybe reach out to him in the near future and see if he might want to come on the show and talk about it. That would be lovely. But the big thing that we've been talking about, this has been going on for a better part of a couple months. Anybody can go backwards and look at these different offerings about the mental health aspects of dealing with being in this game. It can be arduous. It can
Yeah.
be a lot of long hours, a lot of time away from families, a lot
Absolutely.
of travel. It can be a thing. And I know every so often, me and you have this in common. It gets a little, you get a little homesick, you get a little depressed.
Yes.
And I've known that this is a thing that happens with you and many of us, like you, Ham.
Yes.
It's just
Right.
part of it,
After a
man.
couple
It
months,
certainly
it's
is.
gotta go.
For me, I have pretty bad depression and some pretty severe anxiety.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
How would you found ways to cope with that? How do you deal
well,
with it?
fortunately for me, especially being at front of house, I have a little bit of a box.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So like I can kind of like just get to my spot, and I kind of like am secluded, and I don't have to like really worry about like being in the middle of the crowd, or it's like one of the reasons I hate mixing with the iPad. It's because you're standing there in the
Yeah.
middle of the people and stuff, and
Yeah.
you're trying to work, and they're all like dancing around you, and it's just like, it's like
Not your thing.
totally just, yeah. And, in my depression, it stems from multiple things. I have, some chronic pain issues and arthritis, and I had a lightning truss fall on me, and
Wow.
I have traumatic brain injury. I had my glasses go up inside my skull.
Oh,
Like,
goodness, buddy.
Yeah, so for me, the anxiety comes from, am I going to forget what I'm doing because I have severe memory loss and brain trauma? That it helps me so much when I go to a different venue and I learn how you have it set up, and then I go to a different venue and I learn how you have it set up, and that helps me cope internally. And talking about it, which a lot of people haven't been doing until the past few years.
That's right.
Is actually talking about it. And with Fruition now, we do a thing, I call it the pious endeavor, and everybody gets pious, and I have a pious endeavor. And then when we're all done that, we do a collective breathe, so we can all just get into a calm headset, because we all deal with it. Our female mandolin singer-songwriter is in recovery, so she gets a little anxious before shows too.
Yeah.
So it gives us all a chance for us to just be like, okay, we know we're all anxious. Let's just breathe a little bit and calm down. Sure. And for me, I talk about it. When I'm depressed, I let people know I'm depressed. And it helps being able to talk to about it and be an advocate for people. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay, you know what I mean? Especially in our business. So there's, the Backstage. I don't know if you guys have heard of Backstage, but it's actually a mental health service for us. So you can check it out. It's called
I actually
Backstage.
haven't heard of Backstage.
Yeah.
I know the Roadie Clinic, and they do
Roadie
good
Clinic
work.
too, but Backstage is a new one. And, they do, during the pandemic, we would do like group chats and stuff, and you can reach out to them. And I don't know the exact info, but it's Backstage.
Maybe you could forward that, and we could put it in the comment section when the show airs.
I
would
totally
like that
will.
very
As
much.
soon as we're done here, I'll look it up and get you the information.
Thank you.
But they've been there, and they've been there to help, and they're here to help musicians. They're here to help tech people. And, we started our own little support group so we can be there for each other. It's
That's
like,
very kind.
you guys have been working your ass off all day today. Sure, you're ready to go home. You know what I mean? And, are you not? You're here doing this when you could have easily just been like, hey, we can't do that this week. We have, 20 trucks to load, and we have 8 shows to do, and, you know, I just worked from 7 a.m. and now here it is, you know, 7 p.m. I want to get my ass home, and you know, I still got like 27 more days of this month. So, you know, I know, you know, it can really get to us. But in the old days, you know what I mean? When I started doing this in the 90s, nobody ever talked about that stuff.
No.
At all.
No.
You know, most of the time you just covered it up with more drugs or more booze or
Yeah, you self-medicate.
exactly.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, that's right.
and now people are learning that we can get help for that, and you know, and it's okay if you work your ass off and you get depressed and you need someone to talk to.
I couldn't agree
Hell,
with you
you
more.
can even call me. I'll answer the phone, text me, message me on Facebook. I have helped talk people off the ledge for the last 5 years.
You're very kind that way.
COVID, I spent a lot of time on the phone with people, helping
Yeah.
people get through stuff, you know, just,
That was a nutty time.
you just need to be there to listen to people, you know what I mean? It's just, so you don't need to talk all the time. You just need to listen. Someone just needs to, it's like being the bartender, you know what I mean? It's like
Sure.
you'd go to the bartender and you're the guy over there in the corner and you're
Good
like,
example.
bartender, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I consider myself kind of a bartender, you know what I mean? You need to talk, you're not feeling right, let it out. You know, it usually ends up helping more if you can talk to somebody. Sometimes you can't talk to your best friend about certain things. You need to talk to someone that's a friend or you
Maybe
know,
a
someone
little
you
more
know, but
disconnected.
exactly, someone
Yeah.
that's a little more distant,
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily have an opinion about what you're talking about. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm totally down to be there for anybody, including you.
I appreciate it. That's
Yeah,
big
man.
on you.
That's very, very
Thank you.
kind. And I like to think we're all here on that.
I mean, we're a
capacity.
team, you know, and that's
Yeah.
what I say when I show up to the venue. You know, the people are always like, "Man, you're so cool and so chill." I was like, "Well, we're doing this together.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do it without you. You can't do it without me.
The team effort.
We're all doing this together. We're all working long hours together. We're all stuck together doing this job to make sure these people have an amazing time."
You're out
And-
making memories for folks.
And yeah,
And it's an important job.
I've learned, you know, the grumpy sound guy thing, you know, that's the old guy stuff. People don't really appreciate that shit. You know what I mean? It's like people want you to come in, you know, not everyone has a good day,
That's right.
but you don't have to come in and be a dick off the bat
No.
for no reason. And, you know, it just ruins people's days. And it's, you know, you have that effect on someone. If I come in and I'm like, fuck you guys, man, this fucking sucks, fuck. You know, you're not going to have a good day at work.
No, probably
You
not.
know, and you're going to be doing all the stuff I need you to do, and I'm treating you like shit. Fuck that.
No, it's you.
You know?
Those are words of wisdom. I was going to ask you, of course, you know, what type of advice you have for the kids coming up. I think that last 3 minutes of
Yeah. Well, I'll say one more thing about kids coming up. Use your fucking ears.
yeah,
Stop looking at the computer and
Yeah.
use your ears.
yeah.
The computers are helpful, but this tells you where it's at.
That's
know?
that's this old. We've been saying this forever, though. The computers have made it more timely, but we've been saying it's the ear, not the gear,
Yeah,
stupid,
exactly.
forever.
It-
And
always.
that's always
and that's
been
the one
truth.
thing I can say to kids. Get your head out of the computer and listen to the show.
It has been a real treat having you on.
Dude, thank you so much for having me.
It's a lot of the things we shared tonight are critically important for all of us, I think. And you've come through the game like a friggin' pro. I've watched you from afar and admired your work and admired your honesty about the emotional
Thank
part
you.
of your life and
Yeah.
the things, and have related. I've worried on you.
Yeah,
And I've related, and
We
I've
we
you know,
absolutely
we
have
always send
connected
each other
well,
kind
yeah.
of kind affirmations
all
to,
the time.
you know, and that's what it's about. And
Yeah.
just know that we're here for you as a brother, and I know that
Absolutely.
you, in turn, would be there for us.
You know it.
It's been a treat having you on. I
Well,
very
thanks. I
very much
appreciate it. You
bringing
guys have been awesome hosts.
you and Lego in
Lego.
the game.
I don't even know
Lego's
where he
been
is. He's
very
over there
cute.
mixing probably, I
Lego's
think,
out
you know.
exploring. This is a big place and lots of
I
little
think
cracks
he's trying
and
to mix. He
crevices.
likes to mix. He likes sitting at the mixing board.
There you go. At the board. So we're at
Just
the
like,
SL3.
you know, you sure you want to use that EQ on that?
Yeah. That's all he needs is more opinions at
Right?
the board, right?
The dog's sitting and looking at you.
That's awesome.
That's classic. That's classic. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for coming in and
Cool.
sharing your experiences
Yeah,
with
man,
the
it was
audience.
my
We
pleasure.
super appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Man.
Yeah,
You're pro.
thanks a lot
Thank you,
for
brother.
coming
Thank you
through.
so much. Thank you, Lego, wherever the hell you are, you little bastard.
Yeah, right.
All right,
Come here,
cutest.
Lego.
Well, I would say that's the cutest dog we've had on the show.
He is pretty damn cute.
He's
Yeah.
a handsome little bastard. Listen, guys, we're going to go do this thing at Tesla and Leonard Skinner. So this show will air on Thursday. We thank our guests. Thank you so much. and of course the team, all of my brothers that are here that do this with me. We want to wish everybody a happy Thursday and hope that your lives are going well. Always know that you can reach out to us for anything. You guys know how to get a hold of me. I mean, I got 40,000 of you, 43,000, I think, the last time we checked in.
Ooh, it's going up.
But yeah, and last week, according to Facebook, 2.6 people, 2,600 people checked in on our show. Now, I don't know, that was just a breeze by or whatever the hell it was.
Wow.
Right.
But I got a little note from them. I have no friggin' clue. All I know is people come and see us, and I think it said over the last week. And we get a few hundred on Twitch or on YouTube and however many on Twitch and wherever else.
Yeah.
So I like to think we're doing something that matters, and we appreciate that these kids come out and tell us their thing and what's going on. It's important to us.
Backline.
Yeah.
So this is it.
What do you got, baby? Oh, yeah, very cool. Backline has a space on, that's Facebook, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Facebook.
go to Backline on Facebook. They have a page. Looks like there's about 4,000 people already. It looks like a little more than about 4,500 people. It looks like a good. I'm going to check it out before I put my name totally on it.
Check
but
it out.
It's a nonprofit
cool source.
organization.
It's nonprofit, and they're there for people in the industry to get help.
I think right there,
That's
right
badass.
off the tip, that makes you know that there might be something to it. And of course, Rody Clink is out there, and we're right here anytime. Reach out. You guys know how to get a hold of us. We do this every Thursday. We do it for you. We do it for us because we love what we do. And we do it every week around 7 p.m. on Thursdays, Pacific Standard Time. You want to come check us out? We're on Facebook, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, all over the place. You can come see us anytime. We will be doing this probably in another week. I'm working on that. I work a little too much. I'm a little tired. But he just said, like, you're doing this thing, and it made me think, well, this is what I always feel. so we'll probably be back next week. But if not, you'll see us in a couple.
We'll be back. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I kind of die hard that way. I have a feeling we've done this
Right,
already.
you're like,
We like
I don't-
these
I
stories
don't
too
know. And
much.
then by the time I get home tonight, there's gonna next week's guest.
It will probably be something like that. That sounds like me. But we'll see. We'll see. So I don't have an announcement for who's here next. But keep an eye out for us. We do this often, almost every single week for you guys, and we love what we do. Until then, behave, be kind to each other, and do the right shit. You know what to do. Good night.